All right, guys, we're going to talk about private blog networks here in this particular video. Now, for some of you, this is a complete new piece of information, a new concept. For others, depending on your experiences and where you've come from, this is just going to be a refresher. And so I'm going to share my own personal experiences with I call them PBEnds, a private blog network. And all this simply means is that I go out and I purchase expired domains in auction that have really great links. And when it comes to getting top results for your clients or getting top results for yourself, you need really strong links, ideally from high domain authority or high authority websites that have really great links. And I'm going to give you two examples. I'm going to show you one example here, as you can see on the screen. This is one of my PBEnds. And I purchased, in fact, this was the very first PBN I think I ever bought, or one of the very first. And it's probably, I don't know, at this point, over a year ago, maybe close to a year and a half. And it's a very old domain. I don't remember, I'd have to look, but it's either 95 or 1996. So this domain is, 17 years old? It's crazy how old it is. So it's got a couple things going for it. It is financially, it's in a financial niche, so this is good. That's the first thing for me, is when I go to buy a PBN, I want to make sure, ideally, that it's got great age, it's got great links, and the bonus for me is if it's in a niche. Now, I don't find very many of those. However, you don't have to have a niche-specific name in order to get really great results in terms of your SEO, whether, again, for yourself or for your clients. And I bought this specifically for my clients, and I think I added one post in for myself. And so there are two different ways that you could do PBEnds. This is one way where I just make several posts. I put them all in the homepage, and I put 2-3 links in each post, right? The other method I'm about to show you, and I'm going to show you an example, is very different. It's I buy a PBN. It is only for one customer. It's got a theme on it. I silo that. It's only got a couple of posts at most on the homepage and a couple of links at the most. They're two very different concepts, and if you are coming out of Project X or NHB, the method that you're seeing here on screen is what is generally taught, and they both work fine. Okay, it's just a question of personal preference. Personally, I prefer to buy websites or use PBNs that are themed, that have silos for the most part, and I'll show you what that looks like and what that entails in just a minute. And only have a couple of posts because I really want the maximum. I'm going to preserve the link juice and send the maximum amount of firepower right out to the site that I want to get ranked. Anyway, they both work. I've ranked websites, with both methods. This is certainly not necessary for you to do well in SEO, but for me, I do PBNs, and I have a network of about 55 sites right now. So not a big network by any stretch of the imagination, but I've got about 50-something sites. And you got to pay the monthly expense for hosting, and I pay about $4 a month for hosting at this point. I've got a couple of different hosting options, I think about 4. Two primary ones that I use. One of them is SEO web hosting, and the beauty of having a network of sites is that, number one, I control everything. This is huge. If you want to really crush it in SEO and you want to have long-term results and you don't want to be at quote-unquote risk of getting shut down by some of these other web properties that you might, like WordPress or something like that, or maybe some of the Squidoo lenses or some of the Web 2.0 properties, hub pages, whatever, is that, they own the property. But the difference is, I paid for this, and it cost me a few bucks for the site. I think I paid $20 for the site or something like that, so it wasn't too bad. But I own this site. When I bought it, it was a PageRank 3, and like I said, it's age domain. It had some decent links to it, not a ton, but it had a few. It was, like I said, it was one of the first ones. If a client stops paying me, I just pull their links because you know what? There's no free ride here. And the beauty is, the fewer posts that you have on the homepage, the more powerful that is. I could go, I could probably do an entire course just on PBNs. If you're in NHB or Project X, it's already there, right? For those of you who don't know what that is, it's just an SEO course. It's an extremely good one, very expensive. It's like $5,000 for that course, but it's very comprehensive. This isn't the intent of this course. This is simply to share a couple of ways that I use, my two primary ways to rank my own websites and rank all of my client sites. And you know what? I don't just get top results. I get multiple, 2, 3 listings, sometimes up to 5 listings is my best so far. No, 6. That's 60% of the first page for a client for his like best keyword. So that's my best. I typically average 2 to 3 links for their best keyword on the first page of Google, usually in the top 3. Doing this method, doing PBEnds, and then the other video you're going to see is on authority stacking. So those 2 methodologies are really what is driving the results for websites and of course for videos as well. They both work extremely well. So this is really nothing magical here. It's, you know, just a handful of posts on some different niches. As you can see, I've got one post right there. I've got another post here, like this, like laser hair removal. And there's one for a restaurant. And so, you know, like I said, a couple of different posts up. There's one for me. And I think you probably get the point. So pretty straightforward stuff. Got a handful of posts in here. I think I probably put 10 posts, which is my maximum on here. So the good news is this style of linking is wonderful because I can control or change the links, the anchor text, that what you see here in blue, at any time. This is really, really powerful. And one of the documents that I included here, it's a downloadable doc, is what I call the link management section, okay? And what you can see here is really straightforward stuff, but I like to control my anchors, and I want to know exactly what anchor I've used, right? So I put that in here, and that's, again, just as a basic recap. What you see in blue, like it says chiropractors in Syracuse, that's an anchor text, okay? So I put my PBN or whatever site that I've built a link on, I put that URL right here so I can go back, boom, instantly change it. And you know, I've gone back and I've made changes for, excuse me, for client sites and for stuff for myself. And I've seen sites come back, you know, if they've been over optimized or something like that. You know, like I said, really straightforward stuff. I put the date here, the post that I'm linking to. You see here I've got inner page 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't just send links to the homepage. In fact, most times I'm sending links to the inner pages of the sites. This is how I'm able to get multiple first page rankings for my clients and of course for myself. And so pretty straightforward stuff, right? This is one great example. And let me show you the other example, which here's another site. I did something a little different. This site is exclusively for one client. And, again, a pretty solid site. Had some pretty good links. I think this is a PR3. But, and what I did is I built a silo. I themed this site. So it doesn't mean that it's got to look, graphically or aesthetically like something about laser hair removal. That's not what theming is to me, even though that certainly can be a part of it. Theming for me is having what I built a silo. So these are just relevant categories of information, right? And I've got a piece of content on each one of these categories. And then they look just like this, so there's no difference, right? And they can access those categories here. And then beneath each category, let me just click on one of these, like, let's see, permanent laser hair removal. Let's see, where are we? Let me click on this one, permanent laser hair removal, right over here to the right. There are subcategories, and each of these link up, okay, to this top page. I call this the silo landing page. So you see here on the right side of the screen, it says permanent laser hair removal. I've got 1, 2, 3, I've got 5 supporting posts that each have one link that all point up to the permanent laser hair removal page. On the permanent laser hair removal page, as you can see, I then have a couple of anchors. And these anchors go to a client site, okay? And so I'm sending the juice up from the supporting pages up to the silo landing page and then link out from there. I'm also, obviously, as you could tell, on the home page, which is where most of the juice is, I'm also linking out from here to client sites, okay? So that's kind of the two differences between a themed, siloed site that's exclusively for one client and one of these other sites, which is very different. And I've used both effectively. Pretty cool stuff, right? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to share with you, again, if you're part of Project X, you can just disregard this because we already have teaching on this, but for those of you who are not part of Project X or couldn't swing the 5K point of entry, this is a crash course, and I mean crash course, where we're talking 10 minutes, 15 minutes on private blog networks. It doesn't need to be overly complicated. This is some really great information. I've basically taken all of the info in Project X and really encapsulated it in about a 15-20 minute video. Not kidding. So we certainly could go more into depth. But again, that's not the point of this course. The point of this course is to encapsulate information that's maybe there's hours and hours of info out there into and really condense it so that I can give you exactly what you need to go out and get results today. You could go buy a PBN right now for like 12 or 20 bucks, not kidding, and get results starting, tomorrow. It can happen that fast. And I typically see some great improvement. Most oftentimes within a week, 5 to 7 days. Sometimes you got to make a few links, on each PBN, for your client sites. But honestly, for local guides, they don't need more than 5 or 10 links to really get results oftentimes. I think some of my own rankings, I think I put 4 to 6 links and I'm number 1 for every keyword or most every keyword. And I haven't really tried. I haven't put much effort into that. I could really dominate the page. But again, that's not the point. For me, I'm just here to give you some backstory, help you understand how these things work and the real value of a private blog network. Now, you don't have to do this at all. You could just continue to, God forbid, use Fiverr gigs. Please don't do a Fiverr gig, and don't use something like an automated spam tool like GSA, Magic Submitter, SE Nuke, some of those automated spam tools. Don't ever use any of those on what I call a money site. That's like a client site or your own personal site or any site you want to get ranked. Don't ever use those tools directly to a money site. You want to use those tools to go send links, out to maybe YouTube videos. That's a great way to get great results, or maybe to some of your social profiles. You could also use those tools to send links to some of your private blog network sites. You just have to really watch your anchors, okay? You have to be careful with that. I generally don't send more than 100 links to a particular PBN, okay? And I'm really careful with my anchor text ratios. I really am leaning more on generic keywords and that sort of thing. So some of you, I may have lost you. Others, like, okay, cool, I get that. And I'm certainly available to answer some questions and give some specific coaching along these lines. But let me just leave off with this, right? Because we're going to wrap this up here. Register Compass is a paid tool. You can, I think it's expireddomains.net, I think is the other tool, and that's free. I like this one better. It's $37 a month, I think is what I pay. So I log in, I click on go to domain search, and I'm just going to show you my personal settings. Again, this is a huge value because of how effective it is for ranking websites. And, excuse me, you can search for all kinds of different things, but let me just show you my settings and then we'll wrap up, okay? I typically will not put any name right in here. I'll go down here and I will click a couple of things. Let's see, maximum characters. I like to buy domains that have 6 characters or less. And then I'm going to go down here to, I like to see these expire in the next 7 days. And I'm in here, we're pretty much in here buying domains every week, or at least searching for domains. I don't buy them every week, but I do search for them. And I just picked up 3 the week before last. Okay, let's take a look here. All right, I skipped some of this stuff. PageRank, I don't buy on PageRank, by the way, so I disregard that. Google indexed, I want at least 1 page of, the site has to be, when I buy a site, I want it to be indexed on Google. And so I'll just pick 0 to make sure that that site is indexed. And again, I'm going to scroll down here. Typically, I like to buy a domain that's at least 3 years old. So I'm going to pick less than 2011. So actually, yeah, so that'll be at least 3 years old, going on 4. Okay. And then we'll scroll down here. And I like to have a domain authority. Typically, I like to have a minimum of 30, but you could certainly buy some better domains, in the 20s. They're pretty decent. They're not going to be super duper. Okay, but here are my settings. What I do is I click Find Domains, and it's searching, and here we are. Now I click on Auction Domains. You could click on these 2 columns over here. I just personally use this one. I don't see a huge difference. So let's let this load, and I'll walk you through this screen. Okay. A lot of information here. And the way I like to sort primarily is through SEO Moz authority. Okay. So I want to scroll from highest to lowest. And so you just click on one of the arrows and it will sort, from highest to lowest or lowest to highest. In this case, it's highest to lowest. Okay. Anything, again, above 30 is pretty strong. 40s and 50s are rocking. And you can see here some domains. Now, let's be honest. I'm not going to spend $24,000 for this domain. Buy nows I generally avoid. The bid pricing, 50,000. I don't think so. Okay, so I typically look for stuff that's $12, $69. Those types of things. This might be a pretty decent domain. Now I could go on and go into depth and detail about buying PBEnds, and maybe I'll add a module at some point, or maybe I'll just reserve that for private coaching or one-on-one coachings. I'm not entirely sure, but at the moment, I won't go into more detail than this. This is enough to at least point you in the right direction. It's not a specific course on buying PBEnds, but this is really cool. And this is my personal, take on this and how I purchase PBEnds and how I've used them to create some really, really great results. So the takeaway is that the bidding on this is $69, and I don't see any bidders on the moment. It does not show any page rank, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a good domain either. And I use some other tools, like Open Site Explorer is another tool that I use. You can use that for free, and if you want to make multiple queries and you have to spend some money, it's $99 a month. It's a little pricey. But again, for me, a couple $100 a month for tools, and maybe a few $100 for PBEnds, or maybe I don't buy any PBEnds that month. So my costs for SEO are generally pretty fixed unless I'm buying new PBEnds, which I tend to do each month. So for me, I like adding to the mix, right? And then once I buy a PBEnd, say I bought this one, whatever, Qzx800 whatever it is, 98. Let's say, for example, it was, this is what that was. Well, I just go set it up and I just go add a post. I use ineedarticles.com. I pay about $3 for an article, dirt cheap, great articles. I think that's where I got all these. And then I just go put in my anchors. And once I decide what I want for anchors, I use this document right here is the exact document that I use. And I'll go decide on what anchors I want first before I actually even have a PBN or anything like that, because I want to have a plan of action. And I will typically do 3 to 5 links in the first month, depending on how powerful. Sometimes I might do 10 links a month. You could do more than that. But again, I typically do less than 10 links a month. And within a few months, I'm seeing some pretty good results. You could be more aggressive for sure. Or if you have some really strong domain authority sites that you find here through expired domains, then it's going to take less links and you're going to get more results quicker. That makes sense? I'm going to leave off with this video, but that at least covers the concept of the PBN, how powerful this is to rank client sites, how powerful this is to rank your own sites. And by the way, you can also use this, and I do use this, to help rank my YouTube videos as well. That said, email me or ping me with any questions, and we'll talk soon.